Protagonist selected: General Heinz Guderian, commander of Panzer Group II. His detailed diaries and first-hand defiance of Hitler reveal the exact moment German confidence collapsed into disbelief. There was one truth the German high command believed more deeply than any other. You do not lose to peasants. Not when your army is mechanized. Not when your doctrine is perfected. Not when your officers have trained for a decade in the art of lightning war. For years, German generals repeated the same certainty. The Soviet Union would collapse in weeks. Its people were backward. Its officers were political puppets. Its armies were bloated, poorly trained, and terrified of their own government. The Red Army, they believed, would shatter the moment it was struck. And when Operation Barbarossa launched on June 22, 1941, everything seemed to confirm it. 3 million German soldiers surged east. 3,000 tanks thundered across the border. 4,000 aircraft ripped open the sky. In the first weeks alone, entire Soviet armies vanished. Hundreds of thousands surrendered. Columns of prisoners stretched for miles. To Berlin it looked like proof that history obeyed German will. But war does not reward arrogance. And by the winter of 1941, deep inside Russia, one man would realize the truth too late. A truth so devastating it would fracture the German command itself. Because the peasants were not breaking. They were adapting. And the moment General Heinz Guderian understood that, the war was already lost. Heinz Wilhelm Guderian is 43 years old in 1941. A Prussian officer's son, sharp-eyed, impatient, brilliant with engines and maps. He is not a Nazi ideologue. He is a professional soldier. He helped invent Blitzkrieg itself: fast armor, close air support, ruthless momentum. In Poland, his tanks cut the country in weeks. In France, they tore through the Ardennes and broke the Allied spine in days. He believes in speed the way sailors believe in wind. And Hitler believes in him. So when Operation Barbarossa begins, Guderian commands Panzer Group II, nearly 600,000 men, hundreds of tanks, racing toward Moscow through Belarus and Ukraine. The plan is simple. Destroy the Red Army west of the Dnieper. Encircle. Annihilate. Advance again. Moscow will fall before winter. The Soviet Union will collapse like a rotten house. At first it works. By July Minsk falls. By August Smolensk burns. Hundreds of thousands of Soviet soldiers surrender. German officers joke that the war will end before their winter uniforms arrive. But the map lies. Because what Germany conquers in distance, it loses in depth. Every mile east stretches supply lines thinner. Every destroyed road delays fuel. Every broken bridge costs hours. And the Red Army does not stop forming. Divisions appear where none should exist. Tanks roll forward that German intelligence insists do not exist. And behind it all, the land itself begins to fight back. By October 1941, Guderian faces a choice. Hitler orders him south toward Kiev to encircle Soviet forces. Guderian knows this will delay the push to Moscow. He argues. He protests. Hitler refuses. The delay costs weeks. And winter is coming. October 1941. The temperature drops below freezing. Rain turns roads into black oceans of mud. Engines choke. Tracks sink. Horses die standing up. This is Rasputitsa, the Russian season of mud. Guderian's tanks crawl forward at walking speed. Fuel trucks stall. Ammunition freezes. Oil thickens into sludge. Still, Hitler demands Moscow. So Guderian turns north again. By November, the temperature plunges to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Then minus 30. German lubricants freeze solid. Metal cracks. Men wrap rags around rifles just to touch them. You hear it first at night. Trees splitting apart. Like rifle shots in the dark. Soviet resistance stiffens. Not in waves, but in layers. You break one line, another appears. And another. Siberian divisions arrive. Fresh, trained for winter, wearing white camouflage. They ski. They glide. They move where tanks cannot. German soldiers fire and watch bullets ricochet off frozen ground. Then the counterattacks begin. At Klin. At Kalinin. At Tula. Soviet artillery howls through the night. You smell cordite, frozen blood, diesel smoke. You hear men crying for medics who cannot reach them. Guderian drives to the front himself. He sees tanks abandoned, not destroyed, just frozen. He sees soldiers with blackened fingers and feet. Frostbite claims more men than bullets. Then comes the moment. December 5, 1941. The Red Army launches a full counteroffensive. Not a raid. Not a probe. A coordinated, massive strike. Hundreds of thousands of men. fresh divisions from Siberia. They hit German flanks with ski troops and cavalry. They strike supply columns. They surround regiments. They push the Wehrmacht back, mile by mile. And for the first time the German army retreats. Not strategically. In panic. Guderian radios headquarters. He says the front cannot hold. Hitler orders stand fast. No retreat. Guderian disobeys. He pulls his men back to save them. And in that moment he understands. This is not France. This is not Poland. This enemy does not collapse. They absorb punishment and come back stronger. The peasants have learned how to fight. And they will not stop. Mid-roll seat. If you find this kind of forgotten military history as fascinating as we do, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. These stories of endurance, sacrifice, and human decision deserve to be remembered. And by subscribing, you help ensure they never disappear into silence. Hitler explodes with rage. He fires Guderian weeks later. But the truth is already clear. The Blitzkrieg has failed. And Germany is now fighting a war it cannot win. What followed was not a single defeat, but a slow hemorrhage. The Red Army learns faster than Germany can adapt. Factories move east beyond the Urals. Production triples. By 1942, Soviet factories produce more tanks than Germany can destroy. The T-34 becomes the nightmare of every German tanker. Wide tracks. Sloped armor. Reliable engines. Meanwhile, German losses mount. At Stalingrad, an entire army vanishes. At Kursk, the last German offensive dies under waves of Soviet steel. What began as a war of annihilation becomes a war of survival, for Germany. And the myth of invincibility is gone. German generals stop speaking of victory. They speak only of holding. The realization spreads through the ranks. They underestimated the Soviet people. Their endurance. Their capacity to suffer, and to adapt. The very qualities they dismissed. Heinz Guderian survives the war. He writes his memoirs. He admits the mistake. Not tactical. Cultural. They believed the enemy inferior. They believed technology could replace resilience. They were wrong. Millions paid the price. Soviet losses exceed 27 million, soldiers and civilians. Entire cities erased. Yet the Red Army stands in Berlin in 1945. And the world changes forever. Today, when historians ask how Nazi Germany lost the war, the answer often begins here. In the frozen fields outside Moscow. Where arrogance met endurance. And lost. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Every click tells the algorithm this history matters. We're dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us, subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and tell us if someone in your family served. Thank you for ensuring that Heinz Guderian soldiers and the millions who faced them are not forgotten. They deserve to be remembered.